I try not to tell people what to do a lot. It seems like I do because I say things in my videos about what people should do, but I recommend people not take that personally. I gotta watch out for rattlesnakes around here. I just killed one the other day. I hate doing that, but it has a partner. Anyway, so I don't like telling people what to do, but I'm going to say what should be done. But don't take it personally. I'm not telling you what you should do. And I hate being, told what to do myself because it's ridiculous. There's tons. The ground is just full of these carbuncles this year. These are carbuncles. This is a carbuncle. There's carbuncles everywhere. These are where gall wasps laid their eggs in an oak tree. And there's more of them than I've ever seen. In fact, before it rains, I should collect a bunch of them because they're useful for something. If nothing else, we could dye them and use them as like decorations or something. Because people like decorations, even though they're kind of wasteful. But, we want to celebrate the passing of time and all that. So we might as well figure out a better way to do it. And I guess when I tell people what I think they should do, what people should do, not what they as individuals should do. Hey, don't do that. Get away from me. God damn it, I'm trying to take a pee and the dogs get in my way. I'm just making suggestions, and I'm willing to do things in very different ways. But unfortunately, a lot of people take a suggestion as a demand or an insult about how they do things. And really, it isn't that way. I'm just exploring options of how we can be. And we better do that because the way we're doing things is killing off the planet and civilization, and we're all going to die. Not that that's a big problem. It actually isn't on a universal scale. But we do care about that. And I like people to be happy and not unhappy, and I like people to have less pain and suffering. Not that they should have easy-ass lives like in the movie Wall-E. I like that movie. Wall-E, not Wall-E. Wall-E. It's about a little robot, and all the people have gone off to a spaceship or something, and they're just living the horrible lives that actually sort of resemble the direction that industrial society is going in. And I would recommend that that's a terrible way for things to be. And so we actually don't do well when we have too much affluence. It's the wrong way to have your society be. It's not healthy. You die, you're unhappy, you're unattractive, you're sexually unfulfilled, you're mentally incapable, and it's disgusting. That's a very judgmental opinion. It's my opinion. But it doesn't really have to do with you. You can screw your life up however you like. I mean, I've screwed my life up how I like. I love how I screwed my life up. Not all of it. There's things I want to change still. I don't like it. It's a lonely path that I'm on. But it's better than being on the path with the wrong people. So, got my materials store over here. That shouldn't even be out in the sun, actually. It's my junk pile. Nobody can see it because nobody goes by here. I'm going down here because I heard a machine down here. And this piece of land never has a machine on it. And I don't really feel like going and looking for it too hard. Why is that moved? Oh, it's because someone was trying to steal it. But why didn't they succeed? There's a big PVC tube over here. Wind did not move that over there. Someone did it. I don't like that. There's another road in here I'm losing. They do bulldozer work to recover it. It's not an important road. That's why I'm losing it. But I have to prepare things for the future. So let's walk down here. Now, it's really hard to tell when there's metal clanking in the forest, like how far away it is or what direction it is. I don't see anything. It's a really nice piece of land in here. I want to buy it. I want somebody to buy it. People contact me a lot for like how to buy land in Mexico and live like I do. And I don't want to tell them because I don't know who they are and I might not like them. I don't want them living near me. But if I could identify really cool people and filter them, which I have some big thoughts on how to do that, then I could actually invite them out and buy that piece of, they could buy that piece of property. That a lot of trust is involved with that, because the neighbors I have now aren't going to do anything with it. Probably they might, hopefully they won't, and hopefully I can find compatible people who I can trust, aren't going to run an outside electric, aren't going to run an outside power, aren't going to play amplified music except in some exceptions, and won't bother me basically. And might even be wonderful people. That would be the ideal. So what the hell am I doing? I think I'm walking into town and the sun is up hot. Every time I do this I say don't do that, and I've stopped doing it. But for some reason I feel like doing it. I'm kind of bored. I invited somebody over today, but they were already busy doing something else. And I didn't arrange to go into town and do things. I mean, my solutions are all on the computer. And I know what to do. I'm just avoiding it. I'm avoiding solving my own problems. I am messed up. And my problems are just getting worse. So what do? I go back to the house and do what I should be doing. Power through. Take the risks. That's the bigger issue. Is I know how people are and I don't like them. I think that metal clanking was far away and it was just really loud. Because also it's not continuing. It's not continuing work. I think they were unloading something heavy and metallic. Or doing something like that. And I think it's probably the avocado orchards way down there. Way far. I don't know, I've been on the computer quite a bit. And even though, in a sense, the last 20 years have been a break from civilizations, they have not been a break for me. Oh, I think Toosas might have eaten my grapefruits over here. There's one that lives over there. I think I got a lot of them that died. It's just lack of care and attention. Nobody can live without care and attention. That's not true. I can. Well, I get a little bit, but it's not real. It's online, and I do appreciate it greatly. I mean, maybe it's the only thing keeping me alive, but it's not ideal way to live. So much of how I live is actually the ideal way to live, and then parts of it are not. What's interesting is when assholes like tell me how messed up I am, and I'm like, well, I know how messed up I am. I'm me. And what they mainly tell me is that they're assholes, because, it's rude to write me that. And like, even though I criticize people on video, I tell them civilization's going to fall and all that, I don't particularly hold individuals responsible. I mean, pretty much everybody's responsible in some way, and what bothers me is when they try and blame everybody else or tell them what to do, because that's not going to get us there. It ain't going to work. Look, this branch broke off. Why? I don't know. I think a vehicle must have gone through here. In fact, I think I know which vehicle did it. I don't think it was mine. Maybe it was, actually. I did go down this road. There's barely a road here. It's all grown over. All this plant in here I want cleared out so we can have other plants in here instead. Look, there's a cedar right here. Not a very convenient spot for it, but it doesn't really hurt that bad. I guess I've made my decision. I'm going to walk into town in the middle of a hot day when there's no decent clouds at all. It's probably for alcohol, though. I don't know, I think it's boredom. Town's kind of far. It's not that far. At least it's a pleasant breeze. It makes it feel less hot. It's a very pleasant breeze. I don't know. I guess time will tell whether I make it or not, and what that looks like. It seems like I could do certain things that would make things be massively successful. And they break some social rules. And I think that the primary one that they break, the primary rule that it breaks, is exclusivity. People just love this idea of inclusivity because they really don't like how we've excluded people. And I totally understand that. We've used bad rules as a society or societies for excluding people. Like dumbass shit like skin color, sexual preference, gender, just, you know, bad ways to exclude people and even oppress them. And that's very common. I wonder when that tree fell down. A long time ago. This is like a flat spot that could be cleared out really easy for van camping. It would be a perfect spot. Except that tree over there might fall down on the van. I could cut that one down, but I'm so tired of cutting trees down. I just don't like it. I've cut too many down now. It's time to plant, not to cut. And I got plenty of spots to plant, although even those spots have to be cleared out because now there's baby trees everywhere, which is good. It's wonderful, but it's a problem. I guess I could go to town and get tortas to eat because I've been eating the same thing every day for several years and it's boring. You know, I had a pizza a while back when somebody visited. That was exciting for me. He apparently didn't think it was that great a pizza, actually. He lied on the video for me, but which was nice of him. But I think one of the problems with being alone is that I'm not motivated to. I mean, everyone else just becomes sort of fictional. They're far away. They're not real. I'm not real to them. If I was more real, I'd probably get more support. Look at this plant over here. That's normally a green, healthy plant. Even this one, which is bigger, all the sides of it are dying off because it's so goddamn dry. Go to town or not? I already made my decision. I'm going to town. But it's just stupid. It's a stupid time to go to town. So I think being alone has more of a negative impact because I have no one locally to serve, like right here. And I'm ultimately a service-oriented person. I want to create things for people, but those people are fictional, and I'm afraid of most of them. Not afraid in a weak or dumb way, but from experience. I know that most people suck. Most people are horrible. That's why we live in a horrible world. Big fucking surprise. Not that hard a conclusion to come to. Read the book, The Elephant in the Mind. That one did affect me quite a bit. A friend recommended it. And I'll pretend I'm your friend and recommend it. It's a depressing book because it does talk about how we are all ultimately selfish. And that's not a total realization for me. But the extent of it is extreme. And of course I include myself as people, right? But I want to figure out, how do we turn selfishness into positive behavior? And of course that can be done, you know. People say greed is good. Well, depends on how you define greed exactly and how that plays out. But certainly being self-interested, being an ego, being an identity, you live within yourself. Of course, you're going to have your point of view. How could you not? Let's see, I've got eggs. That's good. I really had no reason to go to town at all. Although I do have to exercise my legs. So, there's that. I think it bothers me that most people's self-concept is so exceedingly limited. They believe what they believe. They know that's what's true. They don't question it. And maybe the problem is not as pervasive as I think, but I think it is. And certainly the most dangerous people in our society, you know, people in the government, lawyers, some business people, not all, varies widely. Most spiritual people, they're some of the worst. They really just cannot think another way. It's impossible. Maybe if they were willing to put themselves in an extremely different situation, or were forced to, which I'm not suggesting we do. I mean, I am the force that alters me, that changes me. And that's better. I know I'll do. I'll go visit my friend. Fuck. What's going on over there? I think that's a banana that's almost dead. It's not going to die though. If it just rains, it will live. All I need is rain. I need it now. I need it last month. Because I'm just watching everything die. I mean, it's really interesting. I'm able to accept things as they are, and there's a bamboo barely surviving. That's good. But like, this should all be green. Instead it's like half green or 2/3 not. All these are here, a bunch of white oaks that don't even have leaves on them. Those should have leaves. And this is like a really cool park here I'm developing. I probably need to name it. And it's going to be this cool park. But I've got 2 years of setbacks where nature itself, by not raining, is killing off my vision of this park. It's okay. You know, I'm going to get in there, and maybe this is even a good year to, you know, clear out some of the lower branches on some of the pines and not others. And decide to top off trees again. I need to make money for that because, you know, that's a few days job, is getting in and topping off all the trees I want topped off around here. It's not just this park, but the one over there next to it, which I didn't even know was going to be a park. I thought I was going to put a lake there. And I still might. It's not all a bad spot for it, but now there's all these baby trees in there. And even though I'm willing to cut down a tree, it just hurts a little bit more to kill a baby tree. I don't know. I guess it's just like puppies or something, or babies of all kinds. We're programmed to want them to have a life, even if we eventually harvest them in some way. But I don't know. I'm not even going to call that a maternal instinct. It's a fucking sexist term. Men like babies too. Even if they don't make them. Even if they don't spend as much quality time with them at a young age. You know? God. The most sexist, racist people I know are people who claim to be against such things. It's terrible. Oh, a cloud. Oh, it's a tiny cloud. The cloud's going to last like 2 minutes at most. In fact, I think it's already gone. Yeah, I just barely scraped the edge of the sun. God damn it. Oh well, I get what I signed up for. Why would I go talk to my friend? Why not? Yeah, it's healthy. Not alone too long. So my path to having other people here, I think the only solution I have is that I have to be very selective. But that's a very hard thing to scale. Because it takes really years to know what someone's values are. And even if you survey them, then they lie. Or they're not self-aware. That's at least something. So I could use surveys to get to know people, a large number of people, and also use their reputation, their record, their job history, their social history, although that's hard to know. There's no good social reputation management system, although that will exist later, hopefully held in private hands. There's issues all over there with that, but there's bigger issues with us not knowing who to trust. We're inherently divided and will remain that way. We inherently can't trust each other. It's no surprise. Look at that. Oak trees without leaves. If there was enough years of this, some of those oak trees are going to die. And oaks are strong, strong, strong. I have often stated that, I'm against the white oaks because they don't have shade part of the year. I did have the realization, because I'm always questioning everything I think, unlike many people. I had the realization that as drought comes on, it could actually be that the white oaks survive better than the black oaks. Now, it's a theory that doesn't match up with my other theories, but maybe they're better at going dormant, and maybe the black oak, the black oaks will not be prepared biologically to go into a dormant period. And so maybe if there was a really bad year where the black oaks lost their leaves too, maybe that would actually be more stressful for them because they're not used to it. I don't know. It's just a guess. I think a biologist wouldn't even know that. And it's going to be so dependent on the location, the type of dirt, the exact microclimate. So an answer in one place is not going to translate necessarily into an answer in another. Certainly a biologist would have better thoughts on it than I have. But what I have is a living laboratory. And so I can see what happens. But in this case, I have no control anyway. I can just be an observer. Sure, I could plant baby oaks and do things, and I could change water flow around oaks. I could have oaks that get more water delivered to them earlier and later in the season. Digging like a pool above them so that collects more of the rain right above it earlier, and that the last rains fill that up later. So it just gives it that extra 10% boost. And 10%'s a lot. You see online, there's all these magic solutions for things. And what's interesting is they always use the same language that tells you that they're full of shit. You get really good at it. It's easy. It's like recognizing if something is AI or not, artificial intelligence. Right now it's pretty easy, but my suspicion is it's going to become almost impossible. In fact, AI will be a great tool in lying to us. Truth is going to be gone. And that is one reason to create communities of people who have real world interactions, who have real world reputation management, who have real world social controls placed on them within the confines of a voluntary social contract. And that would benefit everyone. You know? If I had other people here to serve, I would probably complain about being tired. Although maybe I could have some level of balance, that would be better. And I'm sure some people would annoy me. And not everybody would be perfect. I'm sure as hell not. But I used to like people. And I had a lot of interactions with a lot of people. And I thought people were good. And now I don't. But I really think that's because I've contaminated myself. Just like I've contaminated my mind with watching media that's violent and stuff. You know, that gives me dreams that are messed up. And my whole world is not this happy paradise. It's being influenced by me allowing myself to dump garbage into my head. Which, you know, I'm an experiment anyway, but it's not good for me, I don't think. Maybe I should go through the movies I have and the books I have and divide them up into categories of, you know, what I think is useful and good for creating a better society, and which ones I think are just mediocre, which is a fair number, and then actually evil ones. Even the evil ones may have a use, like a vaccine, you know? Like, people should be aware of the bigger picture of how humanity is. So I want people to see documentaries of horrible things. I want them to see documentaries of the most horrible things humans have ever done in the history of the world. Because this kind of Pollyannish attitude that if we all just get together and hold hands, it'll all be okay is bullshit. And I mean, one of the big differences between now and 20 years ago is 20 years ago, that was a very fringe topic of creating a community. Now you see tons of people trying to explore that in really lame ways that are destined for failure because they don't know anything about it. They didn't grow up in it, and they haven't studied it. I mean, it's still fine that they're trying, but each failure is just going to add to the number of people who think that doesn't work. And it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't work if you do it wrong. Life in general doesn't work if you do it wrong. God, there's a huge white oak way up there. No leaves at all, not one. Poor tree. Also, it's nesting season when a lot of birds are going to be looking for habitat, and they just lost like habitat in a huge amount of large oaks, like bunches. And I've got such a huge land that even the idea of like, oh, let's put up birdhouses or something, great idea. How much is it going to cost to make, 2,000 birdhouses? And owl houses too. I want owl houses. Owls are great birds, and they're cavity nesters, so they can't make their own nest. That's why I don't have that many of them. I have them, but I bet you the population of all my birds is going down this year, because I should have many places where there's water oases, oasi, places with water. This place would be a magical, glorious land filled with life if I had that. And that's something I don't know. I don't know how to crowdfund things well. I guess there's an order to it. The problem is, how do I crowdfund a location and have that location be private? Maybe I make my invite list, and from my invite list, I figure out who I'd be willing to have here as a visitor, and those people would be willing to come and invest heavily into a well-designed vision of a place. And then some of those people, and I'd be recruiting specifically for these kind of people, some of those people could become residents who have resources, who aren't just mooching off me or anyone else really, with everybody with the similar goals of always be building our skills, always be improving the land, have a lot of common land, and then land that people Well, there's a bunch of land ownership models that are very difficult. I've looked at many models. Right now in Mexico, most of them are land scams. Most of them, I've known people that I've known for 8 years online, and some of them I met in person. And they've always just been trying to create a community, but they don't want to dump any money into themselves. They want a profit, and they don't have any land to create it with. So they're just trying to organize other people that give them the resources. And I have this massive resource, but I don't want to gather a bunch of people who just take. Not to mention, I have nothing left to give except my land. And once the land is given away to people, or sold to people even, it's gone. And I've just contributed to making one more shithole in the world. Unless I get the right people with the right set of values. It's funny if I turned around right now, went back home and did the stuff I'm trying to avoid. To actually be able to gather and invite good people together. In a way, I don't want the job, but I don't know of anyone else more qualified to do it. And I'm motivated. And I have a huge forest to share, so I have that. But I don't like to say no to people. And so as everybody worships inclusion, in a reaction against negative exclusion, I guess I'm trying to figure out how we have positive exclusion to make the most amazing places you can imagine in the world. And keep those places secret. Keep them protected. Because any community that's successful will be destroyed. Imagine there's 100 people, 2 of them are humans and 98 are zombies. Those 2 people better protect their spot really well. And even if they get together with 500 people, 500 total population, and we got 10 humans and 490 zombies, it's going to be really hard. And that's kind of the situation we're in with people in developing communities. And so even if you were to identify the humans and start out your community protected and nice, if the zombies know about it, you're dead meat. Depends on which kind of zombies, I guess. I mean, are we talking legend zombies? That was a movie with Will Smith. Fast zombies? Are we talking slow zombies that are dumb? It's a big difference. In The Walking Dead, they actually had a variety of kinds of zombies. I watched the last season of that recently, which was another example of me dumping crap into my head. Although it's still educational, so I don't mind watching things like that. I think my next media excursion is actually going to be to read the whole Ringing Cedars books and then maybe make commentary on all of them. That'd be a whole channel right there. Just Brian reading Ringing Cedars and then intermittently commenting on what I think about that particular thing. Maybe I do a read and then I make some overall analysis of it. But I started last night. I started reading it and it was instantly full of just, pseudo-spiritual bullshit. And so I can kind of predict that that's going to be the rest of the whole thing. And And it isn't that the fans of that, the people who are actually implementing versions of that, are bad. It's just that there's a couple issues where I would want them to make a really strong commitment to not just being religious zombies about it and say that's a really cute bunch of utopian fiction. Now we're going to see, we're going to catalog everything within it of what they say. We're going to throw a bunch of it out as made up bullshit. And then we're going to look at the underlying things that we're actually attracted to that we can implement. We're going to add into that some tweaks on technology and architecture and diet and communication, while keeping the rational good parts of the Ringing Cedars stuff. I find some of the values of it very attractive, but if I can't get even through the first 3 pages of it without having total bullshit presented to me, and I know that it gets worse. I watched one video from a guy talking about it, and he's like, there's a UFO that happens in one of the books and stuff, and it's like, I'm not going to join Raelianism or anything. Raelianism? R-A-E with umlaut over it, L-I-S-M. Raelism, or real? I don't know how it's spelled. Anyway, it's a cult. It's common, but it's just based in bullshit, just like Scientology and all the Abrahamic religions and pretty much all the religions. I mean, it's mean to say that. But even Hinduism is like, there's people who actually believe that those gods exist, whereas I would rather believe in gods as archetypes, kind of like we believe in Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. Well, I don't know what the Easter Bunny even stands for, hardly, except fertility, I guess. I guess it does. But, if we accept gods as kind of a, an icon of a set of meaning, useful for holidays and things like that, but we don't think they're actually walking around with us, We don't think that anyone can channel what they say, and we have to do what that person says. Because that's where spirituality really gets the most fucked up. Now, I think that the Ringing Cedars thing is actually fairly deist, where they have a God in it, which is good, because it makes theists, people who just can't imagine there isn't a God, because they don't have a very good imagination. Well, they have a very good imagination about making shit up. But I think it's a deistic view, and so that therefore nobody should be able to say that they're the magic representative of Ringing Cedars. But even in my Telegram chat with them, some of the folks who are into it, you already get the really religious sounding stuff that I'm so used to, and I can understand it so well and so quickly that it starts to make me uncomfortable pretty fast. Like, I would have to go through and filter out the Ringing Cedars people for those who don't believe in an active God, who are not trying to control other people. I mean, I really like some of the values of, like, supposedly if you live in a Ringing Cedars community, you are sovereign over your own land and all this, and there's a great independence to the idea that I'm very attracted to. However, who owns the land? And who can kick you out? Who can make you suffer if you don't fit in right? But then again, I want something that people have to fit into. So I'm in this just horrible problem I've been trying to solve for years of how do we have maximal freedom, but then we all have to be agreeing to something which by definition makes us less free. When you sign a contract, you lost freedom. But I want social contracts. I don't necessarily want, like, homeowner associations. I don't want a Ringing Cedars homeowner association dominated by rabid believers that everything has to be just like the books, and that if you don't fit into it correctly, then you're somehow bad. I want the kind of people who are sort of responsible freaks, who are okay with a larger ethical set for a bunch of people, but a very hardcore ethical set underneath that. Or I guess, there's ethics and morality. We can define terms in any communication we have, even on video. I mean, writing's even worse. But on video, like, any word I use is going to have different meanings to different people. So inherently our communication is flawed. Somebody wrote something the other day I was responding to, and I was like, oh yeah, it was a couple terms in it that it really depends on what you mean. And people mean different things by those terms. And unfortunately, some of those people are the kind of assholes who say, my meaning's the right one. But their particular definition of that word and the use of that word, they're also in the minority. In fact, everyone is. Like off-grid is one. Where, I'll just give you a brief example. Off-grid means you're off the electrical grid. That's where the term comes from. It doesn't mean anything else. You could be burning gasoline off the grid. You could have a horrible consumer lifestyle and be contaminating land around you. It doesn't mean you're homesteading, which no one is anyway, because the Homestead Act was a particular thing, and so the definition of homesteading is also unclear. Does it mean a particular lifestyle? Well, in theory, but people interpret that in all kinds of ways. I mean, even the word human, like people say, oh, that's just inhuman. Well, humans do a lot of things that other people call inhuman because they're trying to define and control what it means to be a human. Well, I'm afraid that being a human is both really good and really horrible. Like, you can just imagine the worst shit and the best shit. Humans are great, humans are terrible. So this idea of, someone's being inhuman, it's like, well, that's what humans are. Inhuman, selfish, violent. Horrible things that you and I, statistically speaking, would never do. But there's people who will chop people up with machetes. There's people who will rape women or men. Men actually probably get raped more than women overall. I don't know. And does it really matter? It's not good either way. And yet the people who care about rape of women don't give a shit about rape of men. In fact, men will keep their fucking mouths shut. There's an old joke about that. Like, you ask your friend, hey, if we went camping and we got really drunk, and then you woke up and there was a condom hanging out of your butt, a used condom, would you tell anybody? And if the person says, well, no, guess not. And then you say, you want to go camping? It's just a joke. I don't, yeah. The point is that male rape gets joked about all the time. Male rape is funny to people. Raping women, of course, is a horrible thing. It is a horrible thing. But what's really terrible is that even supposed feminists, who, of course, there's almost none of, most people are just into their own gender. I don't even want to know feminists or meninists. Cut them out. Just collect the people who actually like the other gender according to values of who that person is as a person. Well, I guess I'm getting to town here. God, I'm glad Frida isn't like that. That's the most high-pitched, annoying sound a dog can make. That's why I used to think I hated little dogs, but Frida's not like that. I think I take some credit for that. I trained her not to be a barky little bitch. She does bark, but she barks when she thinks there's a horrible, dangerous thing like a squirrel or an unknown thing. So, all right, I'm arriving in town, so I'm going to shut off the camera. Thanks for walking in with me. I guess this is a private video. I don't know if anything's going to end up private that I say. Fuck it, I'll be dead. I'll publish it all.